So this is going to be a tutorial on how to complete this digital mandala assignment. And the first thing I want to go over is the requirements for this assignment. So from yesterday you worked with color schemes and you created triadic, analogous, split complementary, and double split complementary color schemes. So I want you to pick one of those that you created, and you're going to now use that to create this digital mandala. I'm going to be working today with a split complementary color scheme. So my complementary colors were going to be orange and blue, so I'm going to split off blue as my key color. My split is going to be red, orange, and yellow, orange. And then I have 3 other varying values to go with that color scheme. So once I have my color scheme chosen, I'm then going to create a radial design with shapes and lines for one of the sections. And you can kind of see down here in the bottom right hand side or bottom middle part that you have 12 sections here. So you're only going to really be creating designs for one of those sections. Once we've done that, we're going to create a mimic, and we're going to copy paste it into each of the other 11 sections. And then once we've done that, we are going to create the 5 background rings. So the parts back here we're going to create, and then we're going to remove the original template and change the background to either black or white. I'm going to do this quickly. So this is a brief tutorial, but I want you to really spend some time on your design. Please don't base yours off of my design, but I want you to really spend some time on this. We're going to take about 2 days to work on this, 2 studio days to work on this. So I do expect you to take your time. I will be grading this off of design and aesthetic looks, as well as just time spent on it. So take your time with this, don't rush it. So I want you to open this up by clicking the blue lettering down there, the blue title, and it's going to open it up into a much larger window. And it already has a template that's been placed on here. So this template is just on here, okay? And you will be able to delete it. So sometimes it's going to be a pain in the butt and it will move. Just go back and hit undo if it moves. If you click it and it moves, go back over here and undo it. It will happen. It's just how we have to work with it. So I'm wanting you to create one section here, and you're going to go based off of your color scheme. I like to use this space over here. This is kind of like my rough ideas, my sketches, my design before I actually kind of put things over here on the side. And I want you to pick up shapes and different designs, line tools you can use, shapes you can use, and really use that zoom feature. So I'm going to zoom in, and we're just going to focus on one section of the design. Don't worry about the whole entirety. We're just going to create something for that one section. So if you've got to really zoom in, if you're going to work from the smaller areas, get in there, zoom in, use that zoom feature. All right, so let's start off with basically building our shape designs. You start with the shapes, then you build the rings, and then you go from there. But I'm going to zoom out for right now. So I'm going to zoom out, do it a few times. There we go, we're back at 50%. And I'm going to create some shapes over here as my reference. I really like to play around with the shapes, and I encourage you to do so because you can really play with these. You can elongate or make some really interesting designs. This kind of looks like a droplet, or I like to create my shapes that I want to use for this over here because they're going to be my quick reference. I love these type things because you can manipulate the shape a lot. So I'm going to create a few different ideas for myself. Just for fun, I like these. And I really encourage you to play with them. Actually, I think I like this one. It's very similar to that. I like it better. And then I'm going to just put some basic ones out here. All right, so I've got my basic shapes on here, and they come with that pasty blue design. I'm going to focus on placing my shapes on here first, creating a design with those, and then coming back in and working with my colors. So I am doing, again, I told you I was going to do a split complementary color scheme for mine. So I'm actually taking the two main colors, which I chose were blue and orange, and then there's that split. So blue becomes the key color, and then my split was going to be red, orange, and yellow, orange. So my actual shapes are going to be orange colors, my values from there, and then my rings, the circles around my mandala, are going to be the blue values. So I first want to get my shapes on here and design them how I like. So I'm going to work with whatever segment you want. I'm going to work with this one. So I'm zooming in. I'm going to work from the inner center part out. So once I've got my zoom in, I'm going to go back to my pointer, and I'm going to play around with these shapes and kind of fit them into the spaces. So rotate around, play with this, get those shapes in there, and you can manipulate them however you see fit. Thin them out. You can also change the lining around them. So if you want them to be a little bit different, or you don't want them to have that solid black line, you have that right. But the first thing you want to do is kind of get them placed on here. Now remember, a shortcut is Control C, Control V, and you can duplicate it. Or you can just simply go up here and hit Edit, Copy, Edit, Paste. But there's the command buttons are going to be on the sides there. Now I have a Mac, so those are for a Mac, but you get the point. So I'm just going to kind of place my, see that move right there? If your background moves on you, just go back and hit undo, and it will go right back to where it was. And it will happen quite often when you're working with this. Just going to, again, work on this one section, kind of getting everything placed on here how I want. And play around with this. And I'm going to do this kind of quickly. Doesn't look like I am, but I am. So Command Copy, Command Paste. Now if I were really working on this, I'd get this all nice and lined up and make it look really pretty, but you guys get the drift. So I've got my little triangles here, kind of fitting them in this space, and they're overlapping each other. And sometimes if you want to move things, if you use the arrow keys, they're going to move it to a certain degree. If you really zoom in, you have a little bit more control and you can make minuscule movements. If you're more zoomed out, it's harder to make those movements. All right, so now I want to talk to you about overlapping. Right now, this middle piece is in the background, but let's say I want that middle one to be in the front. I can go up to the Arrange tool and change the order. I can bring it to the top, bring to the front, and it's going to bring it on the very top. And that's kind of what I was trying to go there. So I've got that placed on there, and then let's go over here and pick a different shape. I'm going to copy this one. Zoom back out. And paste it. I'm going to bring this over here. And I really like this one. I want to set it in this segment, this section right here. Rotate it. Change the size. Really make it fit where I want it to fit. Okay. Control copy, control paste. So just getting these on here. I'm not spending too much time worrying about the coloring or the way that they really look. Command copy, command paste. So once I get my shapes on here how I want them, then I can worry about the way that they're coloring. Command copy, command paste. All right, so you get the ultimate idea of how this is going to look. I mean, I think we need one right there in that little center spot. So let's do this funny one. So once I have all of my shapes placed on here, I'm then going to, and this is the benefit of zooming in right here, just getting this really in there. Then I can now decide on the style of it, how they're going to look in that space. So I can change my coloring, I can change the line work that's around this. And you can also add lines to this, don't forget about that. And I'll show you that here in a moment. So I'm going to go in and change my colors. And you have so many options with changing the colors. I really want you to play around with it. You can do a solid color, you can even do gradients, and you can do custom gradients of your choice. You can have things that radiate out of a central point or become more linear. You can add so much to this and customize each one of these shapes. For the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to kind of move quickly and just pick some things. But I told you that I was working with that split complement. So that's working with orange tones and then the blue tones. My rings were going to be blue, so I'm going to stick with my shapes as being more orange. So I can pick these fun little things, and I can even change the line works on this. So I'm just going to pick a few quickly, and I want you to have a better color scheme. I'm just kind of clicking on here to give you a quick tutorial, but I want you to spend more time on the actual color aspects. And your lines can be dotted, they can be dashed, they can be however you want them to be. So I'm going to add this in here and add some more orange tones to this. Same thing. You can also change the thicknesses of those lines. Goodness gracious. Clicking every button but the one I need. Oops. And remember, you can change the arrangement. She's not so pretty. All right. So I've got almost all of this completed. I've got my color choices and things for my shapes put on here. All right, so now I want to create a mimic of this so that I can put it in each of the other sections. So if you remember how to do this, you're going to have to click on each individual shape on here. And something cool I actually want to go back to is you can add line tools on here. So if I wanted to add a line onto this, I could add a line on there, and I can really play around with it if I wanted to. Ooh, a little too thick. And I can actually, play with features of this and give this some really cool custom ideas to it. So, oops. And then copy it, paste it, and I can add that to, the design. So anyway, that's something else you could do. All right, so once we've got our solid idea, we're going to have to go and select all of these shapes. So you need to hold that shift key button down, or some of you might have different control keys. Go back to, remembering when we were working on the Google Draw first assignment we did with the first unit, whatever your short key was that you had to do. And make sure you select every single thing. So I've got all of my shapes selected. So now I can copy this and paste it. So Control C, Control V is my copy paste, and it's going to make it in its entirety. And all I'm going to do is reposition it in that space. Now, if you accidentally click off of it, just go back to the undo button. But you want to fit it in there nice and perfect, and it might take a few times. It's going to be tedious. But you kind of want to get that position just right. And sometimes it's best to zoom in. Go back to the clicker. Now you've got the whole thing. And you're going to do this each time. So now that we've got it copied, we're going to just hit paste. Let me zoom out. And you're going to move this to each section until you do all 12 sections. I'm not going to do all 12 for the purpose of this tutorial, but I'm just going to get a few on here for you guys to see. All right, so there's my little design right there that I've repeated. And again, do this for every section until you've got all 12 of them complete. So once you have all of your shapes on there, you're now going to work on the rings of the mandala. to these places right here. So you're going to work with that circle pattern, or the circle shape, I mean. You're going to take your circle and you're just going to fit that space so that it overlaps. And for mine, I'm working with blue. So I'm going to pick my blue tones that I was going to work with. Okay. And right now it's covering up my design. So I want it to go behind this. So I'm going to arrange it and order it send to the back. Oops. Send to the back, not backwards. Send to the back. All right. And then I'm going to slowly bring forward until it comes to the right spot. I'm going to copy that shape, paste it again, and I'm going to make the next one. Drag it to the right size. Send to the back. Start bringing it forward. I can change the color here. I can change the outline here. I can make that outline thicker. There's not much that you can really do with the outline, but you can edit it. Again, copy it, paste it. Make the next section. I'll do one more section for the tutorial. So drag it to size. Send it to the back. Start bringing it forward. Change my coloring. Or design that I want to do on it. And move on to the next one. And you will do this for all 5 of the rings. So once you've got everything in place, you've got all of your shapes designed, you've got your rings placed around this, the last thing I'd like you to do is click on this white area and delete the template. And then change the background. Right click, background, you can make it black or you can make it white. You can also change that, I think, up here. Maybe not. I thought you could change the background up here, but maybe not. So it is just a right click. And once you have everything done, make sure that you exit out of this and it will save to your canvas, and then make sure you submit it. All right, good luck and happy creating.